Les universités aussi se sont organisées grâce à l'UNESCO qui a parrainé plusieurs réunions depuis Madagascar jusqu'au Maroc.
My name is Jonathan Umba. I'm the Director of Research and Academic Planning. The programs and projects that we run at AAU are consistent with our strategic plan, and they are implemented for our higher education stakeholders, namely the higher education institutions in Africa. These programs are implemented in such a way that our stakeholders will get the benefit of membership of our association. And our programs also are aligned with a number of global and international agendas on higher education, including the Continental Education Strategy for Africa and the Agenda 2063. So these programs are aligned with a number of international agendas with a view to promoting higher education in Africa.
The AAU is the apex organization and principal forum for consultation, exchange of information, and cooperation among universities in Africa.
I am Professor Nkusa Mahao, Vice Chancellor of the National University of Lesotho in the Kingdom of Lesotho in Southern Africa. There are roughly 77 universities that are affiliated with the AAU in the region. But as you might be aware, there are a lot more universities that are as yet to take the membership of the Association of African Universities. Well, universities that are not members of the AAU are missing quite a lot. First of all, let's appreciate this one point, that the AAU is a main driver from the angle of training and capacitating the human resources of the continent, the agenda of the African Union 2063. So if an institution is not on board, it is missing the opportunity to leverage on the opportunities that are provided by the association in the area of training, human resource capital, training their own staff and students, the opportunities that are provided by the universalization of quality management on higher education on the continent, and many other opportunities that are provided.
Et en 1963, il y a eu une réunion à Khartoum, au Soudan, où les chefs des institutions d'enseignement supérieur ont décidé de créer l'Association des universités africaines. Finalement, la création va se faire à une conférence qui s'est tenue à Rabat au Maroc, et la création de l'Association des universités africaines a eu lieu le 12 novembre 1967.
I'm Prof. Hassan Kafi, AAU Governing Board member, representing for East African region. Also, I am the president of Plasma University, Mogadishu, Somalia. We really like to give a call for universities in Africa, especially in East Africa, those which are not members still in the Association of African Universities. We are calling them because we feel the organization is ours. It represents the voice of higher education in Africa being seen all over the world.
Greetings once again. My name is Sylvia Nkandawire. I work here at the RIFU as the ACE Impact Project Manager. And once again, please feel very, very welcome and would like to now officially start our session this morning. Without delaying the program further, I would like to hand over the session to our moderator this morning, our PSC member from the Gambia. This is Dr. Modak Seka. So over to you, Dr. Modak Seka. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Kandawaya. Let me use the occasion to welcome all the participants for this important session. As you know, we've had some meetings with the PSC yesterday and have had from the member countries their respective reports and progress or otherwise. And it is very important that we also hear from the donors who are supporting this program, and our presenters will include, of course, 2 TTLs from the World Bank, a representative from the Agence France Development, AFD, as well as Dr. Kandawaya herself. The objective of this session, as you know, is mainly for us to hear from these people the progress and updates that are made in its impact. As a guideline also for this session, the session is going to take 1 hour 30 minutes, 1 hour for the presentations, 25 minutes for question and answers. And I would suggest we use the chat box because the chat box is available so that we can post our questions, which I would be posting to the panelists as we go. I will also be introducing the panelists myself. First, we have Dr. Kandawaya, Sylvia Kandawaya, of course. Dr. Kandawaya is a program manager for the World Bank, funded African Higher Education Centers of Excellence for Development Impact Project at the Association of African Universities. She holds a PhD in Agricultural Rural Innovations obtained from Makerere University. Dr. Kandawaya also has over 15 years of work experience in African higher education covering East, Central, Southern, and Western Africa, virtually all the Africa region. She has previously served as a program manager for training and quality assurance at the regional universities, Forum for Capacity Building in Agriculture, Uru Forum based in Uganda, Kampala. Dr. Kandawaya managed 15 multi-donor projects funded by Bill Gates Foundation, MasterCard, USAID, World Bank, Carnegie Corporation of New York, European Union, IDRC, that is with the German government. Then the second presenter will be Dr. Ekwa Bentel, or the second presenters will be 2 TTLs from the World Bank, Dr. Ekwa Bentel, as well as Ekwa is an education specialist in the practice of the World Bank with a focus on higher education, digital skills, use of technology in education, and overall STEM agendas in sub-Saharan Africa, and improving the participation of women in these areas. She is part of a core team developing the World Bank's education strategy for West and Central Africa. She has been working at the World Bank since 2015. Bentel is an EdTech fellow and is also the Africa region's lead on the digital skills pillar for the World Bank Digital Economy for Africa, which is certain as D4A initiative. She is a lead on regional projects and initiatives, including the Africa Centers of Excellence for Development Impact Projects, ACE Impact, focusing on postgraduate education and research across various sectors, a new regional higher education project under preparation, called RAISE, on strengthening the advanced digital skills workforce in sub-Saharan Africa by reforming computer science and engineering programs and the skilling of African youths, and the partnership of skills in applied science, engineering, and technology, which is usually shortened as PASET, which has operationalized a regional scholarship and innovation fund, RCIF, for PhD training and a benchmarking initiative for African universities. Prior to joining World Bank, Bentel worked as at Wall Street with Goldman Sachs in New York as a market risk modeler. She holds a PhD and master's degree 2011-2008 in electrical engineering from Princeton University, and a 3-2 dual bachelor's degree in 2006 in physics from Brian Mayer College and electrical engineering from the California Institute of Technology, Caltech. Mrs. Himdad Bayusuf, of course, is the second TTL from the bank also. She is a proactive citizen education specialist with 12 years of demonstrated record of performance at the bank. Himdad has extensive operational and analytical skills with strong experience leading project preparation, implementation, support, and supervision of the World Bank basic education, higher education, and skills projects in West Africa, East Asia, and Pacific, and Middle East and Northeast regions, which is the MENA region. Himdad is currently the TTL for the first ACE Impact project and co-TTL for the second ACE Impact project. The scaled up ACE Impact project that covers 40 universities across 10 countries. She was TTL of the flagship regional Centers of Excellence Higher Education project, which is ACE1, which was a highly successful regional higher education project in West Africa. In addition to managing successfully large complex regional projects, Himdad is currently TTL of Skills Project in Sierra Leone, a skills fund focused on the delivery of demand-led TVET training. Additionally, she was also the team leader of the Revitalizing Education in Sierra Leone project that focused on improving the learning environment and service delivery, and which successfully implemented the first fully digitized annual school census in Africa, ensuring geolocations of all 10,000 schools in the country. The last but not the least would be Dr. Quinten Delpe, higher education specialist from the Agence France Development, AFD. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the nutshell, the introduction of our highly experienced panelists. And then I will want to start by requesting for Dr. Makandwea to do his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Modseka. We were trying to make sure that all our distinguished guests for the opening ceremony, they are all connected. Now we have all of them. So I would like to, with your permission, to request you that we allow to receive the welcome address by our three distinguished participants. Professor Ehile, the Secretary General from the Association of African Universities. And then we have Dr. Halil Duda from the World Bank, and Marion, who is going to be represented by Dr. Quentin Depeche from the AFD. So at this moment, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome Professor Ehile to share with us his opening address. Over to you, Prof. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Sylvia. Distinguished members
of steering committee, government representative here present, the representative of World Bank, the representative of AFD, honorable vice chancellors, ACE Impact Center leaders, team members and students, team members and experts from the World Bank, AFD and AAU, industry partners, colleagues and friends from the higher education stakeholder community, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Please, can you use now your headset, earset? Mesdames, Messieurs, au nom de l'Association des universités africaines et de ses partenaires, je voudrais emboîter le pas à mes prédécesseurs et vous souhaiter à mon tour, à vous tous, la bienvenue au 5e atelier régional de CA Impact qui débute ce matin. Pour rappel, avant notre rencontre virtuelle de ce jour, les centres ont organisé et participé de manière excellente à des tables rondes nationales, tandis que la réunion du comité de pilotage du projet s'est également tenue hier. Je tiens à remercier tous ceux qui ont contribué à la réussite de ces événements. Depuis notre dernière réunion en octobre 2020, plusieurs réalisations et progrès notables ont été enregistrés au niveau du projet, malgré les effets pervers de la pandémie de Covid-19. En effet, les centres d'excellence ont fait preuve d'innovation et ont contribué de façon significative à la lutte contre le virus dans leurs pays respectifs et leurs régions, et ont généralement œuvré à la transformation du continent par le biais d'une éducation de qualité et d'une recherche appliquée d'excellence. Nous apprécions cet effort et reconnaissons en outre le soutien offert au centre par les différents partenaires et gouvernements de 11 pays participants. Mesdames et messieurs, l'agenda 2063 de l'Union africaine, les objectifs de développement durable et divers autres agendas mondiaux et continentaux soulignent tous l'importance de donner aux citoyens, en particulier aux jeunes, les moyens de vivre une vie digne avec des occupations significatives de leur choix qui contribuent à l'épanouissement individuel et à une Afrique et un monde intégré, pacifique et prospère. C'est exactement ce que fait le projet CA Impact par le biais de ces centres en offrant une éducation transformative aux étudiants, tant au niveau régional que national. Par ailleurs, le projet vise à donner à ces jeunes les moyens d'acquérir des compétences recherchées au XXIe siècle afin de leur permettre de redresser le continent et d'aider à surmonter ces défis de développement. De plus, l'autonomisation des femmes et des jeunes filles est d'un intérêt particulier pour le projet. Nous sommes donc ravis de savoir que les centres aient fait des progrès remarquables en attirant et en inscrivant davantage de femmes. Il s'agit d'un saut qualitatif pour changer le discours selon lequel les femmes ont des niveaux d'éducation et de formation inférieurs, acquièrent moins de compétences scientifiques et technologiques et sont sous-représentées au poste de direction dans les administrations publiques et privées. Mesdames et messieurs, dans quelques instants seront présentées des mises à jour sur les différentes facettes du projet, y compris, entre autres, les décaissements et l'utilisation des fonds, les RLD réalisés à ce jour, le suivi et l'évaluation, les sauvegardes et la passation des marchés. Notre réunion d'aujourd'hui et celle des 3 autres jours à venir de la semaine fourniront en effet des plateformes nécessaires pour nous permettre de discuter des questions pertinentes concernant le projet CA Impact, de nous mettre à jour sur son statut et de partager les idées sur les moyens d'améliorer le mécanisme dans le but de nous permettre un résultat encore meilleur lors de notre prochaine réunion. J'encourage donc nous tous à participer activement, à partager nos histoires à succès et les principales leçons apprises au cours de la période afin de nous permettre de tirer le meilleur parti de notre réunion ici à cet atelier. Mesdames et messieurs, pour l'Association des universités africaines, l'amélioration de la qualité de l'enseignement supérieur et de la recherche en Afrique est au cœur de notre mandat et reçoit donc une attention prioritaire dans notre plan stratégique. Et c'est pourquoi je saisis cette occasion pour assurer cette auguste assemblée du fort engagement de l'AUA en tant qu'unité de facilitation régionale pour s'assurer que les objectifs et les buts du projet CA Impact soient atteints avec le soutien de la Banque mondiale, de l'AFD et d'autres parties prenantes créées de l'école pour l'immense travail abattu lors des préparatifs en vue d'assurer le succès de la réunion du comité de pilotage et du 5e atelier régional de CA Impact. Je voudrais enfin, mesdames et messieurs, saisir l'occasion de cette plateforme pour vous inviter tous à participer à quadrinal des dirigeants d'universités africaines organisé en virtuel à l'Association des universités africaines du 5 au 8 juillet 2021, l'avenir de l'enseignement supérieur africain. C'est l'un des plus grands rassemblements de parties prenantes de l'enseignement supérieur sur le continent et nous encourageons tout le monde à participer en s'inscrivant et veuillez donc contacter le secrétariat de l'AUA pour de plus amples informations sur cet événement. Et sur cette note, mesdames et messieurs, je nous souhaite à tous des délibérations fructueuses et je vous remercie pour votre aimable attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Ehile. We appreciate the opening remarks. At this point, distinguished participants, let me welcome Dr. Halil Duda from the World Bank. Dr. Duda, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Hi, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Distinguished representatives of the Ministries of Higher Education, Professor Etile, representatives from our partners of the ACE Impact project, my fellow World Bank colleagues, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank you for responding to our invitation to take part in this virtual workshop. This is the 5th workshop for ACE Impact program. We are organizing this in collaboration with the AAU. All your contributions have been very important in moving forward the implementation of the ACE Impact project. The ACE Impact program.
You can hear.
You cannot
it's clear there.
Can you speak louder, please?
I can't hear anything.
Sure. The ACE Impact program, can you hear me? The ACE Impact program continues.
It's in the French. It's not okay.
ACE,
but no, you use this. You don't assign him. Okay, no, it's not about my
impact program, which has 2 projects, as you know. which covers 11 countries, over 30 institutions, more than 50 centers across more than 10 fields or sectors, with more than $300 million funding from the World Bank. Given the limited resources available to support the supply and quality of postgraduate training and applied research in higher education in Africa, the ACE program provides an opportunity for maximizing the use of these resources and the competitive advantage that each country and institutions have to offer to the region. As of today, as you will hear from our team, ACE Impact projects are progressing very well. We are very pleased to see the progress of the project during this very difficult time around the world we have during the last 1.5 years. The overall disbursement rates are approximately 33% for the first ACE Impact and 23% for the second ACE Impact, despite there are some challenges in various centers of various countries, but this is really good progress over the last 1.5, 2 years. This is an important achievement, but also I really urge you, I call on all of you here today to continue to accelerate the implementation of this important project. For the second time, we will conduct this workshop virtually. Our team had in the fall, early this year, and this is the second virtual workshop. Across the world, we had a very difficult year because of the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. Although consequences of COVID-19 have been devastating and far-reaching, our meeting here today virtually continues to signal the persistence of the ACE Impact project. While borders continue to remain closed, international travel is limited, physical distancing continues to remain the norm of some time, the implementation of the ACE Impact has not stopped. We are very pleased to see the progress under very difficult conditions in many countries. And for that, I would like to congratulate all of you for your commitment to the implementation of the ACE Impact program. We had a number of successes under various ACE Impact centers. We have seen some remarkable innovation in research and education from our centers. I think some of them the team will highlight, and we at the World Bank, we also really celebrated some of the successes of ACEs you have had. A few of them are the Africa Center of Excellence for Genomics of Infection Disease intensified studies since our last meeting to identify the new variants of the coronavirus that hit Nigeria in December 2020. Then the second, the success we have seen in one of our centers, Africa Center of Excellence for Cell Biology of Infectious Disease and Non-Communicable Diseases in Ghana, has also studied and detected new COVID-19 variants in Ghana. There are a number of other successful examples across the centers. This really shows the success of ACE centers across the region. We are very pleased to see the successful examples. I think you will share some of the examples to hear from other centers during these difficult times, how investment in higher education, investment in science and technology can really contribute to some of the challenges Africa higher education is facing and contributing to the region still on. But there are also some successful partnerships and collaborations are taking place in several countries. Despite the current limitation to effective communication and collaboration, centers continue to establish linkages with other ACEs and non-ACE centers or entities to strengthen regional impact. For example, Africa Center of Excellence for Regional Transport Research recently established a partnership with the Republic of Sierra Leone to train PhDs for a Bay College. This is the essence of ACE program, to really at the regional level to they collaborate, share knowledge, and to address some of the challenges the Africa is facing. Being an engine to development, building hubs for innovation and progress. We are very pleased to be part of it, to support across the region. Let's keep doing this. Keep innovating, and let's keep making an impact to address challenges Africa is facing. The higher education has an important role to play, and I think you are showing how to achieve that, to address them. As you're aware, we all around the world, we had very difficult time because of the impact of COVID-19, and the centers obviously were affected despite there's some of the technical and operational challenges. But the centers really try to address these challenges, and then even in some cases through virtual teaching and learning. Our team has been working with you to also take advantage of some of the innovations in this area. Wow. Our focus over the next few days will be discussing mechanisms to offer operational and technical support to improve the verification of results, among other challenges, and to welcome a community of peer-to-peer learning experience. As the pandemic has taught us, the importance of successful digital learning cannot be overstated. This workshop will highlight the advancement of the ACE Impact Digital Learning support through a partnership between AU and EPFL. Additionally, ACE Impact centers have participated in a digital skill gap assessment and a number of other innovations in this area, how to take advantage of digital learning. The next few days, we will see engaged discussion to take place on how to improve the quality of teaching and learning in Africa's higher education institutions, how to offer operational and technical support to the unique challenges that centers may face. This is one of the ideal platform for exchanging ideas, peer learning. I think advantages of this regional programs really to come together to share good practices, and so that you can also address in your other programs in your home countries. Before closing, I would like to take the opportunity to thank AU for being at the forefront in the support of the ACE Impact projects. We have been working with them very closely during the last, since the start of the ACE-1 project, we successfully closed. But also under this ACE Impact projects. Then how also they responded to the ACE Impact project on the COVID-19 response plan. I would also like to stress the human capital development as is a priority for the World Bank, which is one of our core pillars as part of Africa the strategy. Aligned with the national priorities, as government seeks to boost their human capital, there are currently national higher education projects in a number of countries, including Senegal, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire. ACE can be an excellent platform for introducing innovative features that other countries can potentially scale up nationally, including performance-based financing and competitive financing. I'm very delighted to be among you today. I've been working closely with some of you in the development of the higher education programs. ACE Impact has been a successful model, and then next few days you will be discussing more in detail how to really scale up and intensify our implementation so that the program can be successfully implemented to address some of the challenges African countries are facing. I wish you very fruitful deliberation. Thank you so much for your participation. Over to you. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Halil Douda, for the comprehensive opening remarks. We really appreciate your presence. At this moment, distinguished participants, Allow me to welcome the representative from the AFD. This is Dr. Quentin Depeche. Over to you, Dr. Quentin. Dr. Quentin Depeche from the AFD.
Oui, excusez-moi, désolé, j'avais un problème de son. Donc, nous remercions donc l'ensemble de l'équipe de l'AUA, à commencer par le professeur Eilé, au docteur Sylvia Makanawar, donc le project manager Ace Impact, à l'ensemble des équipes de l'AUA, aux représentants de la Banque mondiale et à nos collègues TTL de la Banque mondiale, et à l'ensemble des membres du comité de pilotage et surtout des responsables et acteurs des centres d'excellence qui sont tous réunis aujourd'hui. Le projet Ace Impact arrive à un tournant important avec plus d'une année d'exécution désormais. Et donc, comme l'ont fait le professeur Eilé et monsieur Dundar de la Banque mondiale, l'AFD veut vraiment mettre en avant la résilience dont ont fait preuve les centres d'excellence dans une période si particulière du Covid, à commencer par la contribution des centres d'excellence en santé aux réponses Covid-19 des pays, mais aussi à l'adaptation continue sur l'activité de formation et l'activité de recherche des centres dans le contexte de Covid, de fermeture d'universités, à travers un recours vraiment accru au numérique et à des solutions et des innovations qui ont été trouvées tout au long de la période par les centres d'excellence. Donc, féliciter vraiment les centres d'excellence pour cette résilience et puis les féliciter aussi pour des taux de décaissement qui montrent que le projet avance et avec des premiers résultats importants. Donc, les résultats vont être présentés par l'équipe de l'AUA, mais on peut déjà noter un certain nombre de publications scientifiques, donc plus de 1800 publications scientifiques dans des revues à comité de lecture sur les thématiques des centres, plus de 10 000 étudiants recrutés, dont un tiers de jeunes étudiantes, 1800 étudiants ayant réalisé des stages dans l'industrie et près de 30 millions de dollars générés en activités de recherche partenariale et en activité avec le secteur productif. C'est des résultats qui sont extrêmement encourageants et qu'il convient bien sûr de poursuivre et d'accélérer sur la phase projet qui nous attend. L'AFD a par ailleurs octroyé en soutien à ce projet un financement de 6 millions d'euros en dons pour le réseautage des centres d'excellence, donc en lien avec l'IRD, l'Institut de recherche pour le développement, et l'AUA. Et un premier versement a été réalisé, donc qui a permis de financer des activités pour accélérer la collaboration entre les centres d'excellence sur 4 thématiques: les miné-environnement, la santé et les maladies infectieuses, les sciences du numérique et la gestion durable de l'eau. Donc ces 4 réseaux sont actuellement financés et donc les centres d'excellence bénéficient d'appui et d'opportunités de financement pour collaborer entre les centres. Et on voulait à cette occasion, et vous aurez l'occasion dans cette même journée d'avoir une présentation plus détaillée du projet ACE Partner avec l'AUA et l'IRD, mais néanmoins souligner un certain nombre de résultats, déjà plus de 30 boursiers inter-ACE.
But there's been about 30 scholarships that are supported on 42 development projects. The establishment of training programs between centers with catalogs and the organization of workshops for all thematic centers. So these activities are really profitable for the project and for centers individually who using this opportunity to collaborate and guarantee research. So I will stop here so that I don't go into details, but I want to thank all participants for being here, and I wish all of us a fruitful session.
Thank you very much, Dr. Quentin Depeche. I appreciate all the three presenters for their opening remarks. Now they've officially opened the 5th regional workshop So at this point, I would like to hand over back to the chairperson for the plenary session 1, Dr. Maud Seka, and the floor is yours, Dr. Maud Seka.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kandawea. I must also admit that the opening remarks are so inspiring that it triggers us to the next session with high hopes. I think we can go straight to the presentations now, starting with Dr. Kandawea yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Seka. I'm going to share progress for the S Impact project on behalf of the RIFU and World Bank. And in terms of the 6 months, we've really managed to implement certain activities, and the progress has been very significant despite some notable challenges. So the presentation covers that outline, and in terms of the progress so far made for the first and second S Impact countries, we are presenting the earnings, what they have earned at the moment. So for the first S Impact countries, we have 5 countries from the first table. Next slide, slider. The first table represents the first S Impact countries, and those are the percentage earnings as of to date. And the second table presents the second S Impact countries. There are 6, and also those are their earnings at the moment. Benin is leading within the second S Impact earnings. So part of the project, we have component 2.2, where we work with the RSFI, that's the ICIPE, and within this is the PASET program. So we just wanted to give you highlights on this component, but additional details for this session, for this component will come in the subsequent session this week. The ICIPE team will be sharing the comprehensive progress on this. But in a nutshell, there's also significant progress that has been made in this component of the S Impact program. So the 5 participating countries, they all signed the subsidiary agreements, and 4 have really gotten the authorization and first disbursements. Nigeria will be also getting the disbursements soon. As I said, the details for these countries and how the PASET is provided in the subsequent. And then within the same PASET component, there are student components. They recruit students from the S Impact countries, and the participating countries have also made significant progress in getting these students for the PASET program. So PASET at ICIP, they have had at least a total of 3 cohorts now for the students who are already enrolled, and those are the numbers as presented in the table. Next slide. Next. So we've also worked with all the national facilitating units at national level. As per the project arrangement, we have 4 national facilitating units. This is because of the number of centers they handle, but it's within the components of the project 3. So I just wanted to highlight the progress that we've made in this component as well. So for Nigeria, as you can see, they've made a number of progress, activities achieved. They focused much on country effectiveness, and now the country is effective. Letters and disbursement letters will be issued, and they'll get their funding. And then for other activities, they've done a number of trainings to the centers, about 17 centers in Nigeria, targeting the procurement, the finance officers. And they helped the centers to accelerate their annual work plan submission for subject matter experts review, and finally obtaining a no objection from the bank. And Same applied to the Gambia. Efforts were really targeted towards the transformation of the GTTI Center to a full-fledged university, the Gambia University of Applied Science, Engineering and Technology, and this was very successful. And then they also strengthened partnership with the Ghana, the Kwame Nkrumah in Kumasi, and supported the centers in overseeing all the DLIs. And then Burkina Faso also registered significant progress at national level, and they hosted National Review Committee meetings, checking on the progress, responding to any challenges that were identified. And also they conducted a number of trainings to their centers, about 4 centers in Burkina. And then GTEC here in Ghana with 9 centers, they also coordinated a lot of activities, including the monitoring visits to the 9 centers that were organized, and trainings in finance, procurement, monitoring, and evaluation to all the officers supporting the centers. So in addition to that, we also coordinated some inter-ACE networking initiatives. So these inter-ACE networking initiatives, they are within thematic areas. Some are funded by the IRD. Those are 4 bullets in a blue circle, and then the other ones are supported by the ACE Impact, potential funded by the ACE Impact, just to promote the inter-networking. So within those inter-networking activities, these networks hosted some symposium, having students, faculty working together in their thematic groups. But as of today, they have hosted about 5 thematic networks in different areas: transport, energy, education, and health. So there's one more being planned for the 2nd week of June, that is agriculture. But what has come out from these inter-networking, we've seen students really creating contacts with other students from other centers outside their countries, and also research areas being identified as areas for their collaboration within the region. And within the same inter-ACE networking initiatives, we sent out a call. We realized some of those were funded by IRD, but also we wanted to give the opportunity to those that were not funded by the IRD, just to make sure that they are also getting some seed funding to support their networking activities. So some seed funding we identified in the last quarter, in the last work plan and budget, and this was allocated, and we sent out a call to the networks that were not funded by the IRD so that they could submit their innovative ideas, and they were reviewed by an independent evaluation team. And out of that call, we received 10 applicants. And from the 10 applicants, these are networks, 8 have been awarded, and the awarded ones are in black. The red ones were not awarded. The reasons being some of the network members, they were already belonging to other networks within the awarded groups. So some considerations were made, and feedback has been given to these networks to address their issues, and they'll be resubmitting their proposals, and within few weeks, they should get their funding to start their networking activities. And I just want to also highlight on verification processes for selected DLIs as part of the progress also registered. Detailed verification results processes will be given in the subsequent session, but we just picked out this one just to provide the detailed processes for these 4 indicators that we are focusing on immediately. So we have DLI 2. This is development impact contribution by the centers. So according to the arrangement of the project, we are supposed to do this twice in the project timeframe, and the first one is due, the first assessment verification. So what we did was to constitute a working group to look at the verification protocol indicators and agree on what should be done for this particular indicator, taking into account what has been provided in the operations manual. So by 30th of June, we are expecting to have an external frame to be in place to carry out this verification for DLI2. And verification details will be provided immediately after the workshop. And for DLI 4.3 on teaching, learning, and research environment, centers were given templates for formulations to provide their formulations. And we had a number of clinics from Abuja up to the last meeting we had virtually. And most of these formulations have been approved now. And very soon we'll also start providing the verification for these. And finally, on DLR 5.3 on entrepreneurship and innovations, as well as DLI 7, institutional impact, these two, we have specific sessions this week. We'll be detailing the process, and by the end of this workshop, we shall have the process in place and clear guidance to all the teams to enable them submit the necessary documents for verification. And also what we've done is to provide some capacity building webinars in different areas, some related to project operations like M&D communication and others. And some of the webinars we focused on support to the ACs to get to know what is required for certain verifications to complete. For instance, institutional accreditation by international bodies. That's international institutional accreditation. So we invited a number of bodies to just for information sessions. And so far we've done about 2 of them. And we have additional ones coming up with different providers, and the countries and the ACs will now have opportunities to see what fits within their national context. And then also we've had partnership with Elsevier, where we've provided some webinars on publication and scientific communication, and many more others have been scheduled. So far, those are the capacity building webinars. And we also continue to provide implementation support to the ACs by engaging the subject matter experts to provide technical backstopping, as well as support the acceleration of the work plan development by the centers and DLI earnings achievements in terms of areas where they were having challenges. So out of this process, 53 annual work plans were cleared, and we also supported in terms of providing guidance. The experts provided guidance in many specific ways, and their reports were submitted to AAU. So at the moment, we have an upcoming mission also scheduled that is well outlined, and centers will be informed immediately after this meeting on our upcoming implementation support with the experts. Of course, notable emerging issues were also presented in the experts' reports, as highlighted in the slide. Of course, COVID continues to slow down the progress in achievement of various indicators. We've also realized a lot with the centers contributing a lot in various ways. Next slide. Contributing a lot in various ways, particularly with what COVID pandemic had brought in terms of the negative implications, but the centers really worked tirelessly to contribute in terms of the management. So we've grouped all this in 3 categories: scientific contribution by many centers, SG, WACB, SNTDBF in Nigeria, where they were contributing to mass testing, genome sequencing, and publications. And then also on technological innovations, many centers have contributed. Wakisa, Kwame Nkrumah, these are just examples, but there are many. We have a database on this contribution. And then transformative research, book contributions, book chapters being developed by various centers, and also some other notable publications. And in terms of their development, impact, contribution as awards, collaborations, and others, as you can see, we noticed a number of centers where students were getting awards, recognizing, I mean, they were being recognized by good work they are doing, staff members receiving awards from reputable institutions, and this has also been recorded by many centers. And these are just examples, there are many. We have a compilation which is available in our reports. And finally, I just wanted to highlight on some of the challenges. Not everything was good as presented, but there were some notable challenges, and these are listed as COVID pandemic, as we had indicated, affecting students' recruitment, internship placements, and staff mobility. And then also we've noted that most of the centers, the next slide. And we've also noted that most of the centers, they have limited reference on the project operations manual. We would like to encourage your centers that all the information, the adjustments that we've given, they are available in that manual. So we should take advantage of that so we can fast track some of the results that you already have, and the manual presents all the detailed processes. And then some notable delays in procurement processes at S institutions. I think these are internal, but I think it's a challenge that affects certain DLIs as the centers are implementing. And then finally, experts also noted that the restrictions in physical missions is really impacting on some of their work that they need to do while they are on site. So I think for certain centers, this will be affected. But I think World Bank and AAU will be discussing on these issues and see how best we can support these missions. So thank you very much. I would like to end my presentation here, and I hand over the floor to Professor Dr. Modak Seka from the Gambia.
The final speaker is our Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Amevi Akakpovi. He's going to deliver a presentation on the Carnegie grants. Prof, if you can hear me and if you are available, please go on.
Yes, I can hear you. I'm available. Good morning. Good morning, colleagues.
Good morning, Prof.
Good morning.
Okay, I'm happy you can also hear me.
Good morning.
First of all, let me add my voice to the previous speakers by thanking you for joining us for this special event. It's very short in times, but very significant to us, especially looking at the leadership and the direction education is taking these days. And I'm very glad to associate myself to the previous speakers, Professor Bafwa, who is for me a mentor and then a father, if I may say, in the academic field, and also the Dean of the Faculty of Engineering, who actually is another father to this program, because this is something that has to do with engineering only. At this point, it's my pleasure to share my screen and also share my presentation with you quickly on the grant. Yeah. I hope my slide can be seen now. Yeah, some few changes I like to bring is that, well, we say Carnegie grant, but I will really talk not on the Carnegie grant in general. I'll talk only on the CAF, which is the Carnegie African Diaspora Fellowship Program. This is the program we are currently executing. And the objective of this presentation is to bring this to the fore so that a lot of people can get to know how this works. And then in subsequent years, we may have quite a number of winners of these grants, even in ATU and beyond ATU, probably in Ghana and other places. So this is the import of this presentation. The outline of my presentation, I will take you through some few things. Just talk briefly about a slide on history, and then define what CADS FP means, and then also talk briefly about some necessary information we need to know as hosts, and then also as the scholars, and then the type of activities we can engage in, probably the review process to just awake our minds on what to do, and then the review criteria, and share with you some few success stories. Well, this is a picture of Andrew Carnegie, and the history tells us that he is a Scottish American industrialist and philanthropist. Eventually, he led the expansion of the American steel industry in the late 19th century, and this man became extremely rich. He became very rich, and he decided in his last 18 years to give away quite a huge amount of money, amounting to about $350 million, roughly 5.2 billion in 2020. I think that means a lot. That's quite a huge amount of money. And he shared this money to many charities, foundations, universities, organizations, grant providers, and this was about 90% of his grant. So you see a lot of corporations and grants that are having at the back the name Carnegie. So this is the history of how they are funded. And the import of the change in the name of my presentation is that I'm not really highlighting on all forms of grant related to Carnegie, but I want to talk specifically on the one we are running currently, which is the Carnegie African Diaspora Fellowship Program. So what is the CAD? Short form of Carnegie African Diaspora Fellowship Program. It is a scholar fellowship program. It's a fellowship program for educational projects at African higher education institutions. I think the pleasant term here is that it's for African higher education institutions. Briefly, this program is offered by the Institute of International Education, known as IAE, in collaboration with the United States International University, Africa. And the program is actually funded, in terms of fund, by a grant from the Carnegie Corporation of New York. So CCNY, the Carnegie Corporation of New York, they actually provide funds to support this program, but they work together with the Institute of International Education and also the United States International University, Africa. I'll be glad to mention from the latest record that a total of 527 African Diaspora Fellowship have been awarded for scholars to travel back to Africa since the program inception in 2013. So quite a number benefited this program. So they came back to Africa, and then they worked together with some few people here to build some programs and to do some one or two things. The type of activity they did, we shall discuss them in this presentation, and they return back, all in the spirit of bringing their experience to bear so that they can help develop some other areas which seems not developed in our part of the world, yet again, well embraced in their part of the world. So there are three entities playing triple roles here. That's why we have a picture of a trinity. The card exemplify the CCNY, that's the corporation in New York, the Carnegie Corporation in New York, their enduring commitment to higher education in Africa. So this corporation is committed to ensuring a higher education success in Africa. And this program, known as the CARD-FP, actually exemplifies that. The second one, which is the International Institute of Education, it manages and administers the program, including managing application, managing project requests, fellowships, and the rest. And also we have the United States International University Africa, which provides strategic direction through the Advisory Council. So again, CAP is a fellowship program for African institutions in Ghana, not just in Ghana, in Kenya, in Nigeria, in South Africa, in Tanzania, or in Uganda, or again, in peoples that are part of what is known as the African Research University Alliance. So it's limited. This Africa is limited to the named countries. So if you are part of these countries, it should be your interest to actually benefit from this program. So to host an African-born scholar, and the scholar you are hosting must be an African-born scholar in one of those countries, to work in a project. The objective is to host such a scholar to work in a project that relates to research collaboration, for instance, graduate student teaching and learning or mentoring, and then curriculum co-development. I'll come back to this point very well. So in this collaboration, there is the host and there is the scholar or the fellow. The scholar or the fellow is that person who finds himself living now in the United States of America or Canada, these two countries, and who is actually born from one of the African countries, but now residing at the other side. He is actually the scholar or the host who is bringing an experience to share with you now. And you who is receiving the person to carry out a project with the person, you are the host. So the host generally is an institution in one of the countries I've just listed. So accredited African university in 6 host countries. I mentioned them again: Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, Tanzania, and Uganda. They can submit a project request to host an African-born scholar currently living in the United States or in Canada. And the host institution can collaborate with a specific scholar on the project request or submit without naming a scholar. So don't be limited because you don't know someone in this condition. If you have a great idea, there is a possibility of putting your proposal together and submitting to the Carnegie grant, and they will find, in this case, a suitable fellow to you, because they also have a portal to allow the scholars who actually qualify for this type of exchange to also register and have a number. So they can easily identify the best or the most suitable person to your project in case you don't have any person in mind. So this is exactly what I was just showing. So if the host submits without naming a scholar, IIE will search their roster of qualified candidates to be matched to the request. So as the scholar, what do they have to do? That's those people from the other side. They have to be eligible for the CARD program. First of all, you have to be born in one of the African countries, as evidenced by the biographical data in the scholar's passport. You must live in the United States or in Canada and hold a terminal degree. And you must be employed at an accredited college or university. So when you meet all these criteria, you can register in their portal, and then you can be used for this collaboration. In actual fact, before I talk about the type of activities that emanate from this, I must say that it's a win-win situation, because this is the person who comes and bring an experience, share here, and get something going. And at the same time, he's taken care of by the grant to some extent, and there are other parts that the host institution also handle, but generally things that are minor or normal in our everyday activities. Then if you are interested in doing this, you must develop a proposal that falls in one of the following 3 categories. Are you looking at designing something that have to do with innovation in curriculum co-development? Are you looking at something that has to do with new approaches and methods to graduate mentoring and then training? And then also looking at impactful research collaboration and capacity strengthening. Let me take them one by one. Look at the innovation in curriculum co-development. This says that we should focus on innovative and collaborative approaches to designing and implementing new courses and curriculum. It is time that we should start identifying what is there that is not here. Because if you watch, we are now a global market. The advent of Industry 4.0 and quite a number of revolutions have brought the whole world to a global market. So students that graduate from institutions in Ghana should be as employable as those graduating from Massachusetts and other institutions in the United States. For that matter, they need to have curriculum that actually point to almost the same skills and knowledge. And for that matter, it is just good for us to design in collaboration with other people, learn from what they are doing, and then add those ones to what we are doing here. And I'm sure we can build curriculum that meets the request for graduates of our time. So fellowship that assists host institutions in developing and strengthening online instructional capacities are highly encouraged, because, and this is why the first two presenters emphasize a lot on the import of MOOCs and the import of online education. This has taken an unprecedented pace, and we have to also follow. And following suit demand that we develop for our own context, relevant content, and then place them also on online, and then cherish them as they deserve. So we can build collaboration to strengthen our capability in developing such online instructional materials. Then the second category, which has to do with new approaches and methods to graduate mentoring and then training. This one is for mentoring and training graduate students, and then request to, for instance, identify new approaches and methods that will enhance graduate student and then technical research skills. For instance, we do a lot of research in Ghana, but particularly if you take the technical university, we are called to do applied research and to bring solutions to societal problems. And we really, if you consider the number that graduate in technical university every year, even at Accra Technical University, we have a population of about 21,000. And if you assume about 5,000 to graduate every year, if each of these in a group of 5, meaning making 1,000 group, will come out with a project that is solving a problem to society, then we'll have put in the market in 1 year, 1,000 different projects that are dealing with our society, problems. And this way we can improve a lot what is happening, and then we can have an impact in society. But it turns out that we produce a lot of graduates, not just Accra Technical University, all the other technical universities in Ghana, but we have few impact on the market. So there is quite a gap that we need to fill. And this is not the case when we compare with education in other side of the world. This call for collaboration again in how we can strengthen the research capabilities of our students, what strategies and measures we can put together to make sure that we get the best out of them. So this is the second area that we can look at. And then the third area has to do with impactful research and to strengthen the capacity of people. And in this area, we're looking at sustainability. Research collaboration proposed by potential hosts and fellows should demonstrate long-term impact and strengthening of host faculty, technical and research skills. We need to strengthen the host faculty, technical and research skills. So any such collaboration is welcome. Gentlemen, I will not take much of your time, so let's talk briefly about the review process so that we keep this in mind as we are developing. I think we had a seminar recently in ATU on grant writing, and then we saw that it's very essential to always keep an eye on what the review process is looking at. If not, you may fall short quickly. I may say that the review process goes in 3 different stages: the technical review, the discipline and regional review, and then the advisory council selection. At the technical review, that's the initial review. This is conducted by the IE staff, and actually it's just to confirm that the host institution and the scholar are eligible to participate in the CAF. So once they establish that, the next thing is to establish whether all the application material have actually been submitted and will be considered. Because if you haven't submitted any of this so requested material, it disqualifies you immediately. In some circumstances, you may have a chance to resubmit 1 or 2 documents, but you may never tell. All depends on the volume of application at the time. Then after that, the discipline and the regional review, that's a review that considered eligible committees and subcommittees that of members who have experience of research in the sub-Saharan area, Africa, that will look at the proposed project in a specific area. So if you submit a proposal in engineering, there's a subcommittee for engineering, and other areas too, they have their respective subcommittee. They look at the potential and the value of the proposal, and they can actually dismiss it and stop the process there, or advise or recommend it so that maybe it may be considered at the test stage by the advisory council selection. And this ultimately decides of the final stage whether the proposal should be recommended and then funds should be allocated or not. So 3 stages. There are more details to that, but for the sake of time, let's keep it as we are going. Remember that the review criteria look at the quality of the proposed work. Not any is a very competitive contest. So if you are writing, you have to write and make sure you write quality content and really put the best of your effort to develop the proposal. There should be evidence of mutual benefit, because if the proposal does not show the benefit to the host institution and at the same time to the scholar, then it is really questionable. These are criteria that we look at. And then the appropriateness of time proposed for the project, because this is a proposal that sometimes will make you bring the host to Ghana or to your home country for a period that spans from 14 days to 90 days. So the maximum the person can stay here is 3 months, and the minimum is 2 weeks. And actually, Carnegie Grant will fund the transport and other